Hello and welcome into the Hawkeye Headquarters Weekly Podcast. Evan Dunn alongside Joel Keller. A lot has happened since the last time on this podcast. We had a QB battle, Joel, and here comes Kids Day. You were there, and the rumor is there might not be a quarterback battle anymore.
Yeah, it was honestly just the most miraculous performance in the preseason in a practice that I've seen from a quarterback in like all the time that I've watched Iowa. I mean, I don't think we've ever seen a Kids Day practice look that complete from an offensive standpoint of the ball.
Yeah.
You know, they were passing. Hecklinski is passing into the flats across the middle, you know, halfway or like those middle routes across the middle too. It's not just like the short little slants. Then he's using the sidelines. He's using outside the hashes a lot. And then he's got the deep ball too working. I haven't seen the offense open up like that, you know, let alone in a football game, but a practice? Like, that's not the Iowa way.
Practice. We're talking about practice, but the numbers that I'm seeing, Hecklinski went 17 of 25 for 205 yards and not one, not two, but 5 touchdown passes. Now, my thought process was going into Kids Day, Hank Brown was the leader.
Yeah.
But then he puts up a dud, if you will. And now it's more so leaning towards Hecklinski's from what I've been reading.
Yeah. Hank Brown did not look real complete. I mean, think back to the offenses that we saw before Mark Gronowski, and that's kind of what the offense looked like. Not really creative, not moving the ball that well. Hank Brown, he did have some nice plays using his legs, which was surprising to me. I think that'd be surprising to a lot of people who have kind of followed this battle. But no, it was all Hecklinski from the start, and those 5 touchdowns, only one of them was really because of yards after catch, and that was a Reese Vanderzee one, which, you know, with the practice rules, I'm not sure if that one counted or not. It all gets kind of foggy when you're out there in the field, and you're just kind of like, all right, is this play 2-hand touch, or is it this next one? And it's like, I don't know. But a lot of those were passes like directly into the end zone from, you know, 20, 25, even counted one, I think it was 36 yards out.
Gotcha. So 9 for 21 for Hank Brown. Calling that pedestrian might be an overstatement. But we heard Kirk Ferentz say that, you know what, this is just a one day of the battle. It's still ongoing. You are the native Iowan on this desk, obviously. You've seen other Iowa quarterback battles where Kirk has kind of gone against the grain in his choice. Do you think after this, if he goes with Hank Brown, that he could possibly lose the locker room?
I don't think he could lose the locker room, but what I'm worried about is losing the fan base.
Okay.
I think at this point, you know, Hecklinski, after that performance, the first public, the first time we could see this team play in front of the public since spring, Hecklinski was off like that. So now the fans are like, okay, like, they're already sold. This guy's the guy. I mean, I'm seeing on Twitter and social media, all these Iowa fans like, it's Hecklinski. No one's even thinking about Hank Brown as starting quarterback anymore. But we don't know what's going on in the rest of practices. And because of that, if Kirk Ferentz trots out Hank Brown as quarterback 1 and, you know, there's not a lot of clarity as to why, I think it's going to be a very unhappy fan base, especially if they go into the locker room and that game against Northern Illinois is 13-3 or something like that. I think if he does go to Hank Brown, he's got to let the offense roll in that first half and show like, hey, this is why we went with Hank Brown. He can score the ball. He can move the ball really well, or else people aren't going to be too happy.
Now, if only Iowa had someone on its offensive staff that has some NFL experience to help determine this quarterback battle. Oh, wait a minute. They do in Tim Lester. And we were both there for Iowa Media Day. You talked to Tim Lester for a while. You can tell that he's a very calculated guy and he knows what he wants in his quarterback. So I think Iowa fans should have some kind of sense of ease knowing that, you know what, we have an expert in the room and Tim Lester will make sure that we are being steered in the right direction.
Yeah, if anyone's earned the confidence of the Hawkeye fans, it's Tim Lester. I mean, we all know it's been night and day.
Yes.
You know, even last year compared to 3 years ago, compared to the Brian Ferentz era. I mean, last year they were 0.2 points away from 30 points per game. And to get to that average, I think back in 2021, 2022, that almost seemed like insurmountable.
Impossible.
Like, there's no way that the Hawkeyes can get up to 30 points per game. But now it's like, I think that's the expectation coming into this year, going into next year. You know, they're going to score 30 points per game. The defense isn't going to let up too many points.
So there are still some questions about the quarterback battle, less than 3 weeks away from the opener. I think one of Iowa's best positions, though, this year is running back, all right? They are filled with Kamari Moulton, LJ Phillips, even a guy like Nathan McNeil. We'll see how he's factored into the offense. But it's looking like Iowa's going to be using a stable of running backs again, like last year compared to just the dominant Caleb Johnson. I think that's the right approach moving forward, to have 2 or 3 guys that can spell one another and help to, I guess, wear down defenses down the stretch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think for the most part, you look at the best running back or running teams in the country, and they use that stable because you got to keep the legs fresh. I mean, of course, you're going to have like the Ash and Genties who just kind of like stand out in the crowd, and the guys who can go for over 2,000 rushing yards in the Power 4 conference. But I think the way to go is, you know, you have all these guys who have different skill sets and you lean on it, change it up. You know, LJ Phillips is going to bring something completely different from Kamari Moulton. Same with Xavier Williams and Nathan McNeil. So use it. You got them. You might as well use all 4 of them.
And we were talking the other day. Do you see Lester possibly using Nathan McNeil more as a third down specialty back?
Yeah. I talked to Jay Norvell at Media Days, and it sounded like, you know, where McNeil kind of stood out was when he gets in the space and he can just become explosive. Right. And then you look back in high school and he was a wide receiver for part of the time in high school. So he knows how to run routes really well. He's got sure hands. And that's kind of where he's pulled away in this running back group, is he's what Jay Norvell said, the best receiver in the group. Yeah. So, you know, I think you got to throw your best receiving back out on third downs, especially third and medium, third and long.
Yeah, I'm envisioning, say it's third down and 5, all right? You can see the defense is in man-to-man coverage. Put McNeil out in space against an outside linebacker. Yeah. If he makes a tackle, job well done. But if he doesn't, more often than not, that's first downs, moving the chains. And I think Nathan McNeil, we've seen like he can be very explosive in the open field. So if they can use him more in the passing game, I think he'll really find his groove for this team and be a very big, impactful offensive player. LJ Phillips, he's the wild card. Coming from South Dakota, he ran for nearly 2,000 yards last year. You pair him with Moulton, it's a pretty good 1-2 punch.
It is. I mean, yeah, sure, LJ isn't playing in the Big Ten Conference, you know, the past couple of years, but 2,000 yards almost, that's got to count for something. And he's playing in the FCS, which, I mean, we're about to see some of those FCS teams, some of his best competition come up and play in FBS competition. And so I think he's got it. We've seen a lot of success in the past from players, you know, transferring up from those lower tier schools. I mean, just look at Indiana, right? Yep. So I think if you're that dominant at that level, you'll be fine.
LJ Phillips, Tony Diaz. This could be a very interesting FCS mix on this Iowa offense for sure going into the season. Another strong suit for Iowa is the tight end room. They're called tight end U for a reason. Sam Laporta. You got George Kittle. So many different names currently in the NFL. And once again, tight end's going to be a very big part of Iowa's offense. You've got people such as, let's go with, we've got Thomas Meyer coming in. We've got Ostrenga coming back. DJ Bonami. The list goes on. Tight end will be one of Iowa's best spots this year.
Oh yeah, and I think Kirk said it, and Lester, you know, reiterated it. But they're gonna lean on these guys because, you know, tight end you for a reason, number one, but also you got a lot of experience in that room, especially through Addison Ostrenga. I mean, just to have a guy like that in there, that's going to elevate Vanami and Meyer. I mean, we already saw that last year, and Vanami talked about that, but Ostrenga was there almost as a coach, even when he went down hurt. And the confidence that probably gives those guys is amazing. I mean, that's essential to have a leader just in that position group, because, you know, the coaches can be one thing, you know, they can be motivating, they can tell you what to do, right? But to have one of your peers, you know, have your back, and they got you on, you know, every play, every time you head over to the sideline, I think that plays a big role. And that's a big reason why I think Vanami was able to break out like he was.
The third straight year that Ostrenga is on the leadership council for the Iowa team. So, you know, he's got a very big presence in the locker room. And talking to Abdul Hajj, he said as soon as he heard that Ostrenga tore his Achilles, he knew, you know what, he has the mental toughness to come back from this. And he's one of the better blockers, too, on the team. So you add another physical body into the running game. Iowa looks very strong with Ostrenga leading the way. And then, of course, DJ Benami, we saw him during Kids Day, dynamic through the passing game. He'll run and pass, linebackers, mismatch for smaller defensive backs. He will be a quarterback's safe blanket, if you will.
Yeah, and I mean, he took that step that we already wanted him to like. I think before that bowl game, we wanted to see him take a step to be elite, and he did that against Vandy. So it's like, hey, we already know you can do that against an elite team, against an SEC team. Let's do it for a full season, and also give you the comfort of, you know, you can take some snaps off because Ostrenga can step in, and he was supposed to be that guy. I mean, think back a year ago, Vanami had just received a scholarship after the spring camp.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
12 months later.
12 months later, and this guy is supposed to be a finalist for the John Mackey Award. Yeah. It's like, this is unreal, and Iowa has to take advantage of having a room like this where you have the star like Vanami, you have the steady coach who also can be a great talent in Ostrenga, and then, you know, Thomas Meyer, someone who he flashed a little bit too at Kids Day. Yeah. You know, no touchdowns, but he had some good chunk plays.
And he played more than 20 plays against Vanderbilt in the bowl game, so clearly they trust him and his development, which shows Iowa was once again a developmental program. I mean, Vanami, Thomas Meyer. Joel, you spoke one-on-one with Kirk Ferentz about, you know what, we still want that developmental mindset, but we're going to start embracing the portal more. How important is it that Kirk Ferentz, who's been here for 28 years, is willing to adapt his ways to the ever-changing landscape of college sports?
It's the only way Iowa's going to continue to win in this landscape, and it's the only way that they have continued to win. I think we saw it pretty early on. Kirk was really willing to go to the portal. Right. So he's done a great job kind of embracing that, and, you know, we'll have more in a little bit after our break, but it really gets down to the nitty-gritty of like what these coaches, how they recruit, and how they actually find these players that fit the program.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after this. All right, welcome back. Joel, you went one-on-one with Kirk Ferentz during Media Day. What were some of your major takeaways from that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, number one, he's ready to go. Yeah. You know, 28 years at the helm. He's still ready to play. You can tell he's excited to come out in that swarm on September 5th. But the other thing, I think he's really starting to find a blueprint on how to succeed, you know, while sticking to the Iowa tradition, but also, you know, moving that forward in the times. And I think the big thing is they're going to still focus on high school recruiting. Yeah. And even though there's a small 2027 high school class coming up, that's not because they're going away from high school recruits. No, they're sticking with it because that's where they find those guys that, you know, get to their junior, senior year, like Jaden Montgomery, and here they are ready for a breakout. So they want to continue with that. But the thing is, they want to go to the portal to fill out those holes that they start to see in those classes as they work their way through the ranks. Where are they struggling? Where is the depth missing? Where could they find an upgrade for in an FCS program? And I think we're starting to see them really figure out how to make a complete team year after year, not just, okay, can we go all in, you know, for this season and hope that we can string together enough wins to make the playoff. No, it's how do we make ourselves into a contender every season?
I think the number that stuck out to me from your interview with him was they have 14 transfers, but only one of them is an upperclassman. So while they are filling the holes, like you said, they're still going along with that developmental process and not just a rush to find a senior who's graduating. No. They're looking for freshmen and sophomores that they can continue to help grow. And that's very much the Iowa way. So Kirk Ferentz is playing new ball, but keeping an old school mindset. And I think that's going to be pretty important for Iowa moving forward.
Yeah, because I think it's clear Iowa isn't going to – they don't have the budget that some of the other schools have to pull in these top portal recruits every single season to, you know, try and be a top 10 team in the country. Yeah. So I think they know what their lane is and they know how to excel in their lane. So I think figuring that out now is going to pay dividends, you know, in 2028, 29, 2030. Just the longer we get down this road, and then hopefully, when Kirk decides to hang it up, whoever it is,
Whoa there,
can
Joel.
continue.
Whoa there.
That may not be until 2040, I guess, but
Do not rush Kirk Ferentz, Joel. You know this.
yeah, I won't.
All right, you all can catch Joel's entire interview with Kirk Ferentz on ourquadcities.com. And I might add, it's a very good interview, so please go over there and watch it.
Thank you.
Job well done. There are some new NCAA eligibility rules. I thought we were done with all of this.
Right?
But now former college football players who took part in NFL training camp are getting restraining orders that allow them to play another year in college. Joel, we're less than 3 weeks away from the Iowa opener, 2 weeks away from week 0 across college football. How in the world does this keep happening?
I just don't get it. I don't understand this process at all.
Right.
I don't get why the NCAA can't step in and lay the hammer and figure out a deal, whether it's with lawmakers or however they need to get it done, to actually, like, they have this old plan to protect college sports, but let's actually protect college sports, because what is going on here? Mark Gronowski just got cut. He can go play college ball somewhere now. That shouldn't be a thing. You shouldn't be able to go pro, test it, go into practice with these pro teams, and then get cut and come back to play college ball. And then also, decisions should not be happening right now.
We're less than a month away from the season. And there was I'm forgetting his name now, but an LSU linebacker who played in the Buccaneers preseason game had a $150,000 guarantee in his contract. And he's now entered his name back into the portal. I'm sorry, what? You're making 6 figures guaranteed, and now you have opportunity to go back to school less than a month before the season starts. It's the wild, wild west. I thought we were past this, but clearly I was mistaken. I was hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, flat out deceived by the NCAA again. And here we are back at square one, not knowing where the line is.
Yeah, next thing you know, there's going to be amendment, made in week 6 after JJ McCarthy is tired to sit on the bench. Michigan starts out tough start to the year. Bryce Underwood doesn't look like he's all that. And then JJ McCarthy gets a lawyer to give him the call to, hey, you can go back down to college.
Why in the world did you pick Michigan to throw shade out of nowhere?
I'm just thinking of like backup quarterbacks, that are still young, might be a little disgruntled, they can go back to their glory days.
Sir, this is an Iowa podcast. I just want to remind you that there is no reason to bring Michigan into the conversation unless I do it. You can't be doing that, man. That's wild. That's diabolical, bro. You really wow. JJ McCarthy,
Mr. Ann Arbor himself over here. I just had to throw a shot.
All I'm gonna say is Iowa plays Michigan game 4. Someone on this podcast will be very, very quiet for the following week. Plot twist, it's not gonna be me. But I digress. So at what point, if you were a college coach, would you say, you know what, Mark Gronowski, yes, we'd love to have you back, but it might ruin the chemistry in the locker room?
Probably about 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe those positions that are less scheme reliant.
Defensive line, maybe?
Yeah, D line, maybe like a corner.
Yeah.
If like whether the defense coordinator is going man or zone, but maybe that would work a month before the season. But I don't see anyone that's actually competing looking to add someone right now. It just doesn't make sense for the team.
You're asking a lot for that player coming back.
Yeah.
Plus his teammates to really take him in, accept him. Yeah, I don't know why the NCAA is just allowing this to go on. I mean, it's ruining college sports. It's making it harder on players and coaches to put together a roster with all these changes. It's got to end.
Yeah, and it's almost like someone's got to say to these players who keep on trying to come back to the game, like, hey, it's time to hang it up.
Yeah.
Either go to a different pro league or find a career. Because at this point, if you're trying to go for your main goal, and that's the NFL, and you get that opportunity and you get cut, sorry, man.
Yeah.
There it goes. And there's no going back to college and re-entering the draft the next year. That's not how it works.
Their new playbook should be called www.linkedin.com or www.indeed.com.
ChatGPT, how do I make a resume?
But I digress. All right. There are a couple other new football rule changes for college this year. Targeting. All right. If it happens in the second half, you are no longer suspended for the following first half of the game for your first offense. If you do it a second time, you then have to sit out the first half of the next game. A third offense for targeting is a 1-game suspension. That makes sense.
I like that. I think that is much needed, a much
Mhm.
needed change. I mean, it was about time. It's like I can just remember. I don't remember any specific game, but I remember games where like it'd be the end of the game and it's almost incidental contact,
Right.
where it's targeting, and it's like two guys competing, just happen to be helmet to helmet, and then that guy misses this first half of the next game. That doesn't feel fair, not just to him, but to the teammates. I mean,
Imagine if that had been, say, Jaden Montgomery this year in week 3 against UNI.
Mhm.
All right. He would have then been suspended for the first half of the Michigan game.
yeah.
Your middle linebacker against a physical Michigan run game. No. I'm
Well,
glad.
and I might be a little bit wrong in the details, but I remember Josie Jewell back in the day.
Mhm.
He got hit with a targeting penalty. I'm pretty sure it's the opening kickoff of the second half. If not, it was very early in the second half.
Yeah.
And it was targeting.
Okay.
But it's like, okay, you're adding this suspension onto him, so it's gonna be more time. It's basically an entire second half and then first half. So
Entire game,
it's
yeah.
an entire game, which is more time than it would be if he did it in the second quarter with 8 minutes to go.
Absolutely.
So it's like, got to find a way to make it fair for everyone who gets hit with that first targeting. Though I do agree, like the third targeting, that makes sense because
if you do it twice, you gotta learn, my guy.
yeah, one time, whatever, that's part of the game. Two
Yeah.
times, all right. Let's take a step back here. Let's look at your technique a
Let's
little bit.
reevaluate. Yeah.
Third time, it's like, dude, you're playing recklessly.
All right. Another big change, in my opinion, there are now 2 replay challenges that coaches have throughout a game. You think about, we've seen so many different replays throughout the game that are brought down by the booth.
Mhm.
I hope that by adding 2 replay challenges, that will minimize those and then force the coaches to be like, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on this. So that hopefully that moves the game along faster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, these college games have gotten long.
Yeah.
It's like 4 hours.
Oh, it's crazy.
And NFL is still sticking with 3, and I don't know. So hopefully this moves it up. Obviously, there's the fear when you start adding stuff like that. Oh, is this gonna add more time because they're gonna keep the same amount of booth reviews, and then the coaches will also pull these out
Yeah.
of their pocket, along. Is this kind of like replace the challenge flag, or
That is still to be determined, but I think they might have some kind of throwing object to
okay?
show the refs like, hey, we want to challenge it, but that's still to be determined.
Okay, yeah. So who knows? Hopefully, it does actually move these games along a little faster. But I think there is a world where we could see these start to stretch to like 4 hours and 15 minutes, and it's just like, all right, man, I love football, but we're not getting any
No.
football at that point.
That makes it a lot harder on us, the media, to get those highlights turned around for the 6 p.m. and 9 and 10 p.m. newscast. So yeah, let's keep the games a little shorter if possible. Here's a major question for you. All right, the 2-minute drill, if you will. The NFL has joint practices. Okay, and we've seen a fair amount of fights break out, but it's the first chance for these teams to go against other teams in practice. Do you think if you were the college football commissioner, you would allow teams to do joint practices?
I don't think I would.
You would not.
I would not. And I was kind of debating this when you talked about throwing this on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think scrolling through the injury reports, today and yesterday of these NFL joint practices, it almost seems like there's more. And I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I see a lot more injuries, I think, or bigger names, maybe this wear and tear of early training camp, but I don't know. Save it for the first game, I think, especially when it's like the younger guys in college.
Yeah.
Like these are players in their prime that are still, getting hurt, the wear and tear, and these crazy plays and stuff. But I don't know.
All right, hear me out on this. I'm on the opposite side. I think that there should be joint practices against teams from your conference that are not on your schedule. All right.
Okay.
So let's say, imagine Iowa had a joint practice against Penn State. All right. You can put it either inside Happy Valley or Kinnick. You can charge money. That's
The
more
Cyhawk
revenue.
practice.
That's more revenue for the schools, and it gives the coaches an opportunity to see what the talent level is like at other schools that you might end up playing in the Big Ten championship. I think it'd be a good idea. Yes, there have been a fair amount of fights, and there have been some injuries as well, but it gets the energy juices flowing. It would be a really good preseason thing for the fans.
You said it right there. Preseason. What about a preseason game instead?
Yeah, I gotta be very careful with my words. No, but I think it would be advantageous
Okay.
if the conversation around joint practices in college at least got started.
You know, I could see the benefits from it.
Yeah.
You know, and it is kind of fun, you know, watching. I remember some kids' day practices and, you know, Iowa players getting a scuffle. And I was pretty young. I think the most memorable ones, I'd be like, Dad, why are they fighting? It's like, oh, it's competitive. And so I think maybe that's another part of it too, where you get those joint practices and you really start knowing like how to work as a team more and start competing together against, you know, a true different team, not just against your number one defense or the number twos on defense and something like that.
Forever and always, never a dull moment in college football. Less than 3 weeks away from the opener for Iowa against Northern Illinois. Alongside Joel Keller, I'm Evan Den for the Hawkeye Headquarters Weekly Podcast.